Hey everyone and welcome to another Warframe video. So today's video is going to be on one of Barricatier's inventory, and basically it's going to update a video that is kind of laughably out of date at this point. And that is the one on the Prisma Skana. The Prisma Skana is only available from Barricatier or the market right now, and it is pretty expensive. 510 ducats and 175,000 credits. It is pretty expensive, but is it any good? Well, it's got the lowest base damage of any of the swords. It's tied with a bunch of different bits and pieces, but there's no getting away from the fact that it is the lowest base damage of any of the swords. In terms of its damage type though, it is mostly slash. It's like 70% or something like that, and that is really, really strong. Means it's going to be useful for like slash procs. It's going to be good against like health based enemies and stuff like that, so that is really, really good. 20% crit chance, which is fantastic and is going to be absolutely crit worthy, especially with the 200% damage multiplier as well. And then you've only got a 10% status chance, which is not really the best. The 10% status chance, you can sort of force it to use the dual stats and to be good for like condition overload and stuff, but it isn't going to be the most reliable. It is a bit of a shame, and is definitely a downside of the weapon. One upside, though, is the fact that it can use the weapon augment mod for the Skana, which is Bright Purity, and that gives it 100% extra damage, which is actually pretty sweet. And it will actually also do like an explosion every time it reaches the amount of affinity it needs. There's 1,000 corrosive damage around the player. It restores 25% of your maximum health, and increases your maximum health as well by 25%, but that's by 25% of your base health, which actually isn't very good. Even still, this is actually a pretty solid mod, if only there really was room to put it on the actual weapon. And so that nicely brings us onto the modding of the Prisma Skana. There's a whole bunch of things you can actually do to really up the power of the Prisma Skana. Now this build here is my sort of average everyday build. It doesn't matter what you're doing with this. It doesn't matter your sentinel weapon. It doesn't matter your focus skull. Absolutely none of that matters right here. Crimson Dervish is actually my favourite sword stance right now because of the right click hold combo does a finisher mid combo, and that absolutely is incredible at a higher level. Absolutely makes this thing a monster. Prime pressure point for damage. Blood Rush, which is going to give us more crit chance as our combo counter goes up. And we're going to combo that with Drifting Contact to make sure our combo stays high, as well as giving us a little bit extra status chance. Condition Overload for the extra damage every time we get a status proc on an enemy. Berserker for attack speed on a critical hit. Organ Shatter for critical damage. And then because I don't really think the status is really high enough to make a slash and viral build kind of reliable enough for me, Virulent Scourge and Voltaic Strike for corrosive damage. Let's just show how this works right now against some level 160s. And you'll see it's actually very, very effective. You can also see that I don't think the status chance is really high enough. There's the finisher that I was talking about. It really makes a huge difference, especially when you've got the condition overload going as well. Very, very powerful finisher in the middle of the combo. And the finisher is affected by your combo counter as well, so that's 2.5 times damage on the finisher there. And this is pretty much my sort of average build. It doesn't matter what you're running, doesn't matter any buffs, doesn't matter your focus skull. This is very much a sort of average build that I'm running here. And it's good, but it can actually be a whole lot stronger. So the way I would actually make this stronger is actually to start combining this with some other bits and pieces. So you can actually combine this with the Naramon focus skull, and I would switch out the build a little bit for this. What I would do here is I would change out Voltaic Strike, and I would change that for Vicious Frost, which is down here, and Drifting Contact for Weeping Wounds. And now what this is going to do is Weeping Wounds works like Blood Rush, increases our status chance as well as as soon as our combo counter goes up. But because we're not running a mod that actually increases our combo timer now, we're actually going to use Naramon. Now I actually have to go back to the relay and come back in again, because as soon as you go into your arsenal, right now your Naramon breaks, and doesn't work anymore, which is not very helpful. But basically, the ability in Naramon, instead of having your combo just, like, disappear after, I think it's like 3 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever it is, it will actually decay over time. Now, that means you can actually completely replace that combo duration mod. Does mean you get very slightly lower status chance, but that's what we're using Weeping Wounds with for. And that means we're actually going to increase our status chance as our combo counter goes up. And we're going to get way more reliable procs, which means we're going to get more for the Condition Overload to work with. And so as we build up our combo counter here, you'll see we're getting Viral and we're getting Slash procs going on. Viral Slash is one of the best, there you go, look, one of the best scaling combos in the game right now. Probably the best scaling combo. And as you can see, we absolutely shredded those 3, right? Well, that's not actually the end of the story. You can do a little bit more with the with this sort of combo. You can still use Naramon, and you can use all of this stuff. However, you don't necessarily need to use the Viral on your melee weapon. So what you could do here is go Virulent Scourge, and you can go with Voltaic Strike. And what you do then is on your Sentinel, you start looking at the Cryotra. Now, this is the build I did a couple of weeks ago, and for some reason it's missing a mod. Okay. You look at my build from a couple of... Oh, I have a feeling it's because it's like, the game was like, this is sharing mods with something else, and okay, so I'll fix that slightly. But still, 100% status, Viral, and Radiation. So the Viral is now on your Cryotra, and because it's higher than Radiation, it's going to proc Radiation way more reliably than it's going to proc the Viral more reliably than the Radiation. So what you do now is you run Corrosive on your Skana with the Weeping Wounds. So this is one combo, the Viral is another combo, the Radiation's another combo. So this is what I end up doing, and you can stack a whole bunch of combos when you're starting to use the Cryotra. And that really works into the Condition Overload, but the Corrosive procs on these guys are going to mean that your actual, like, normal melee hits are going to do more damage. So we've got the Viral Slash combo is still going to be working, but the Corrosive procs are actually going to make it so that we do more damage on our actual melee swings. So there we go, we've got Viral on this guy. We're going to get Radiation on this guy now, and there we go. Absolutely shredded them. So there's a lot of ways you can actually augment this, and this is actually without Naramon running. Now I realise because I didn't go out of the Simulacrum and then back in again, but as you can see it didn't even work, so that was without Naramon, and you can see that absolutely shreds them. So the best thing about these melee weapons right now is the fact that there actually is a little bit of like personal preference in the way you actually mod them, and you can actually do some things to make them really crazily powerful, because as you can see, these are level 160 enemies. They are absolutely ridiculous. Like, the only problem with this build, and I will be honest with this right now, is that you are reliant on your Cryotra. And once the Sentinel dies, which it very well might do, I mean, it even died there very, very quickly, and that does mean that you are going to lose the reliability of the Cryotra's weapon. So this is a very, very high-risk sort of strategy, because you're relying very much on your Sentinel to stay alive, which doesn't always do. But, you know, these are sort of 3 different ways I would go about modding this weapon, and it's going to be sort of down to your personal preference, which you actually prefer. I prefer going Naramon Weeping Wounds Viral combo, and then just using the Cryotra to help proc Viral more reliably. That's what I would do. So the build that I really, honestly, really think is the best for this one, changing Voltaic Strike out for the Vicious Frost, and then running this with the Cryotra. That way, you've still got the chance of proccing Viral on your normal weapon, but then you've also got the Cryotra just to make sure it does it a little bit more reliably. So it's definitely going to be down to personal preference, which is good. I like a little bit of personal preference in my builds, but as you can see, it is ridiculously, ridiculously strong. So what do I think of the Prisma Skana? Is it any good? Do I recommend taking it, maxing it out, or buying it even in the first place? And the answer is, yeah, absolutely. it's actually a very, very, very good sword. You could see it in the footage, taking down level 160s with ease. It's not got any problem with dealing with any of the content we have in the game. Not at all. So, I would say it definitely is worth a look if you like the looks of it. I mean, it doesn't feel any different to any of the other swords, so, I mean, it's going to definitely come down to the way it looks. It performs brilliantly, so it performs well, and if you like the look of it, there's no reason not to go for it. Now, I know some of you are probably being like, yo, Headshot, I thought you said you weren't doing any Melee videos until Melee 3.0, but honestly, Stage 1 of Melee is gonna come just around the corner of Melee 3.0, but it doesn't really feel like that's gonna change much of the actual feel of the melee weapon, if that makes sense. The actual sort of use of it. It doesn't feel like it's going to make it more usable. It's going to make melee in general more usable, but I don't think it's really going to change the fundamental mechanics and the modding of melee just yet. And honestly, the Prisma Skana build was laughably out of date. I don't think I even used Prime Pressure Point back in the day, so it really was way out of date and needed updating. So I decided to get this done because the change in the mods, I mean, I could be waiting for a really long time there, and I really just need to get this build done and get this updated for you guys, so you guys know how to mod your Prisma Skana when Barra comes around. So it is what it is, and this is the video. I hope this actually has helped with your modding of the Prisma Skana. Like I say, it is a good weapon, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant weapon. It doesn't feel any different, so if you like the look of it, go for it. I would say it definitely is worth putting the former into, because it definitely does perform. And on that note, thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall catch you in the next one.